morning.
Hi, Dixon. Good morning.
Morning. Over to you.
Yes, sir. Good
Recording in
morning.
progress.
Hi, good morning, everyone. So I'll be taking us through chapter two, passion, passion, energizes your talent. So, but before we get into it, I would first like to apologize for the background noise. I mean, I have some people who are discussing, politics and all of that, and unfortunately, they happen to be APC supporters. So, so I apologize for the noise, and mostly, I mean, they are mostly mocking me because of my candidate choice. So again, it's just family banter, so nothing serious, right? So I apologize in advance for the noise and all of that, right? So yeah, now that is out of the way, we'll straight into it. So for this book review, I mean, my intention first was to sort of Google some TEDx discussions about passion, but then I realized that I'll be having a room full of passionate people, right? Either in art or in process, or in finance, or in any shape or form, right? So, I mean, there really is no need for me to start, bringing up some videos and all of that, right? So when I can just easily just engage you guys, right? So that we can just, dissect and flesh out this chapter, right? But I reached out to about three of my friends just to, let them talk us through what passion means to them, right? So, unfortunately, one of them is dead, right? But I was able to get a video, one of his videos, right, to about where he was talking about passion, right? So, I'll be sharing that. Um, so I'll be sharing that first before we get into the full discussion, right? So basically, the video is just to sort of wet the ground for the discussions that I'll be having, right? And it majorly centers around what what does passion mean, right? So I'll be sharing my screen in a bit. Uh, 1 second, please.
I got to. I didn't.
You are the greatest rapper alive.
I got to.
So please confirm you can see my screen and hear the sound. Yes, we can. All right, cool.
You are the greatest rapper alive.
I got to. I didn't. Come on. I'm so passionate about hip hop, man. Like, I don't know what era everybody else come from, but when I listened, man. Like, we played house parties, bro, every night. Like, I love it to a point I can't even describe it, you know? And when I heard these artists say they're the best coming up, I said, I'm not doing it to have a good song or one good rap or a good hook or a good bridge. I want to keep doing it every time, period.
The Mamba mentality. So we'll kind of break that down today.
Sure.
The first one is to be passionate. What is that? Is there a moment where you can define your passion for the game, or was it just something accumulated over time?
Well, I mean, the passion came from the love for the game. I loved everything about it, like the smell of the ball.
You love the smell of the ball.
Yes, the ball. The smell of like brand new sneakers and like the sound the ball makes when it hits the ground.
Sneakers in the gym.
Sneakers squeaking. Yeah, the ball going through the net, like all those things I love. And so the passion comes from that, because once you have that love, you just want to be a part of this thing all the time.
Mm-hmm.
The greatest thing about the game of basketball is...
The greatest thing about the game of basketball to me is the passion, the love that I have for it. because when you have love for anything, you'll go to the extreme to maintain that love. That's what love does. It love drives you to do everything you need to maintain that connection. If I didn't have the love for the game of basketball, all the things that I just panned out to you in my career would have never been achievable for me. But it was truly my love for the game that kept me pushing to be the best basketball player that I can be. To be the best at anything, you gotta have a certain love for that to make you overcome all the obstacles that's gonna be thrown in your way.
Jordan a drive. Hangs. Fires. Yes!
Yeah, so I mean that's just basically the intro into what we'll be discussing today, right? And I mean these guys, they just they simplified what passion is, right? And it can be seen through their achievements, and also what they've gone up, what they've gone up to achieve, right? And again, it also captures it captures the subject, the man, that this book was talking about. I think his name is Ruben Martinez, right? So it draws a straight line, from those three other guys to what Ruben Martinez was able to achieve, right? I mean, it started from by just his passion for reading book, got him to be awarded for. I mean, he got awards and was able to, and again, just retired doing what he loves, basically, right? So yeah, I mean, that's basically what passion is, right? And I just would like to quickly, go around the room to just, let people talk about their passion, right? I don't know if I have anyone who would like to go first. Sorry, I can't see anyone. So if you are raising your hand to talk, please just unmute your mic and just go for it. Let me see. I guess I will have to call names. All right. So before I call name, I was just volunteer, right? So in secondary school, I was actually very passionate about football, right? When I entered secondary school, I love football a lot, right? I mean, while I was in school team, I was actually for a while I was called Roberto Carlos, right? Because number one, because of the height, and also because I I mean I'm very good with long range shot, right? So, and also again I play as three, right? Left wing defender, right? So I mean every competition and every game, regardless of how serious it is, right? Anytime we lose, right, I end up getting very upset, right? Because I mean I honestly don't I hated losing during these competitions or even normal casual football, right? And it's very I don't know how to capture it at the time, but losing was just not part of me at the time, right? Because it makes me very furious. So, and I mean it started from GS1, right? And yeah, I was able to enter into the school team. I was able to, I mean, every competition, for my class, I was also in the team. And like Kendrick Lamar said, right, it wasn't about at the time I just enjoyed the football. I just enjoyed playing the ball, right? So it wasn't about representing the school at in competitions. It was just the love for the game, right? I just wanted to be on the field and play. I mean, I think when I first resumed, I played ball so much. I mean, it was at the expense of my my education at the time. Although I'm not part of that, but I enjoyed the game that much, right? And well, unfortunately, I couldn't, continue chasing that passion because, once I left secondary school, I mean, there was no opportunity to continue, and I had, a career-ending injury, right, on my. So I mean, I couldn't carry on. But I mean, I was reading, I was looking at while I was reading this book yesterday, right? When I was reading through Ruben Martinez's story, right? How he started, right? His passion for reading and all of that, right? I mean, I couldn't help but relate and understand, how he felt, right? Holding books and having to go to his neighbors to get his the neighbors newspaper, right? And thankfully his neighbors were there to to sort of to encourage that passion, right? To continue to fan that the embers of that passion in him, right? And I mean, at every point in time, we always need someone like that, someone like Ruben Martinez's neighbor, right? Who always continue to light that passion in you, right? Without I don't know if anyone have a story about their passion that they would love to share with us, just anything related to that. I will have to start calling names. Let me see. I mean, we have passionate guys in the room, art and all of that. Do you guys want me allowed to call names? Okay, then. Just good morning.
How about you? Morning.
What's good, man?
Yeah, I just did, Jerry. Yeah,
No,
okay,
so
so what I'm passionate about, I think the house already should have an idea what I'm passionate about, but I'll say two things, music and food. Kind of obvious, it speaks for itself. I've been inside, within, and around music since I was a kid, basically. So I listen to all sorts of genres coming up, and yeah, it got my interest. I don't want to go through the whole story of, oh, I used to be in choir, blah, 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 blah. That thing is very cliche, even though it's true, but I'm not going to enter that story. That's like my first passion, music. Second passion is food, because I mean, who doesn't love food? Food is wonderful. That's like the best creation. It's better than man. I don't know why man was created, but hey, food is shared there. So yeah, more or less, that's it. Thanks.
interesting. Thanks for sharing that. I mean, your passion for food is not, and again, this is not body shaming, right? But it's not showing, in your body structure. So, but thanks for sharing, right? And yeah, so that's basically, so I mean, for in Ruby Martinez's case, right? His passion was able to sort of chart his path for him, right? And once he identified that he likes book, or likes books, he does. He was able to just know, the direction he's headed for. Right? He was able to, just pinpoint where he wants to land, right? And again, it also sort of ties back to the video I played earlier, right? So about the guys, Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan, right? So their passion for basketball, right, and for hip hop, right? So once they identified that passion, right, where they knew where they wanted, they knew where they were, the destination basically, right, which is basically to be the best, right, and as we go along during this review, we look at how passion drives excellence, right. So I mean that's just that's that on looking for direction, right, and yeah, heading over to new direction, right, which is and this is part where I find most interesting about passion, right. So I mean, for Martinez again, he was able to, so even though for a while he had to, well, he didn't shove his passion, right, but he had to sustain himself after changing his location, right. I mean, he had to go and do take up several jobs, right. So and but while he was engaged, he still kept at his passion, right, which just reading and all of that, right. And yeah, and this is something about passion, right, passion can be, I mean, once you identify, the thing that you love, right? It can take several shape and form, right? And when you love this thing that you're able to then, explore, the every area in that field that you like, right? And again, and this is why I'll be referencing Kendrick Lamar, right? So because I think he's the only rapper to have won a Pulitzer Award, right? So because of the passion he has for hip hop, right? He was able to go beyond rap, right? He was able to extend into storytelling, right? So, and that's the thing about passion, right? So when you again, like when you identify what you like, you're able to experiment with it, right? To see how far you can stretch it, right? And that's why Kobe Bryant was also able to win an Oscar, right? Even as a basketballer, right? So because of his contribution to, I think, an animation that he did before he died, right? So he was able to win an Oscar, and the animation was based on basketball, right? And also I also quickly like to highlight one of my not one of my favorite rapper, right? But Dr. Dre, right? I mean, I watched an hip hop documentary last year, right? And they highlighted, the career, well, yeah, not career anyways, but the rise of Dr. Dre, right? From niggas with attitude, I mean, he started out as a rapper, right? Well, not as a rapper, he was making beats, in the studio, right? And also was also, rapping on the side, right? So even with the niggas with attitude, right? He majorly, so he worked as a rapper and also produced, most of the songs, right? So, so what I'm referencing in this case is also how he was able to morph from from a rapper then into a producer, and at the end of the day, he created a business out of it, right? So it shows how passion can also be well, not passion can be fluid, but the thing that you have passion for, how you can experiment with it and make it very fluid, because he started out as a rapper, then he went on to produce big names like Eminem, like Kendrick Lamar, right, and Mary J. Blige, and and all those other guys, and eventually he started Beat by Dre, right? Even though the story behind that is very funny. I mean I don't even want to get into that, right? But long and short is he was able to chase his passion to the very very end, right? So so yeah, that's basically about new direction. I don't know if anyone if anyone has been experimenting with their passion, in any way, in any shape or form. I don't know if anyone wants to share. Is Larry on the call? Larry, okay, he's not on the call. I mean, that's also someone who is very passionate about finance and is able to, make adjustments, make experiment with it a little bit, right? By consulting for other businesses, right? So, so yeah, that's also basically what this part was, trying to talk about, right? Being able to experiment with what you have passion for, right? And it showed in how Ruben Martinez was able to, win, win an award, right? By basically, just inspiring young guys to go into books, and and also went on to set up a bookstore, right? That excuse me. Yeah, so that's that on the looking for new direction. So I don't know if anyone has anything to share at this point. Okay, then I'll just move on to momentum, right? So yeah, so again, hi, Samuel.
Yes,
Yeah,
I think that is up.
Apologies, I can't see. Yeah, all
fine.
right.
I like the conversation around passion, and I think I largely agree with everything that's been said. But I have this question, and it's very tricky. So we see Roberto Martinez, right? Is person we've been looking at in this chapter, that featured most in this chapter. And he talked about how he went from passion for reading to selling books and how he's not stopping. But then I guess the question really is, I'm seeing Magic Johnson, I'm seeing all these guys, they play basketball to an extent and then they retire. And then they sort of just fizzle away, right? Unlike what we have in football now, that most of the players are becoming, managers gradually in some way. Is it that the passion died at one point, or is it that age took over? I mean, I might not be a question you might be able to answer, right? Because it's just a weird thought why he's not a coach, for instance, or I don't know if he's a coach. Maybe I'll be corrected in that. I don't know if you get my thoughts.
Yeah, I do. Thanks for that question. And right, so I'll just start with, and again, I'm not sure I'll be able to do a decent job of answering that question, right? But so I'll start with Magic Johnson, right? I mean, up until LeBron, even when LeBron was joined Lakers, right? He was the general manager of the Lakers team, right? I don't know when it started, but I think he was there for at least 5 years, right? So he was still in the basketball business, right? Maybe not as a front man executive, right? But he was in the back room, right? Working on managing Lakers basically, right? And also for Kobe Bryant, right? So for Kobe, his passion didn't die. Before he died, he was coaching, I think, his daughter's team, right, basketball team, right. So he was still engaged in that, in basketball. And also for Michael Jordan, he currently owns a basketball team, right, in NBA, Charlotte Hornets, right. So some of these guys, they are in one way or the other, still involved in their passion, right. And also for Martinez, right, he said even, I think somewhere, in the book, he said he was going to be working for the rest of his life, right? So, and again, obviously, he was going to be working, on something that relates to book, basically. So, for most of these guys, and again, when we look at football, right, Arteta retired as a footballer and took up Arsenal coaching job, after learning under Guardiola. Same for Guardiola himself. So most of these guys, they don't, and if they can't, get a job in coaching, most of them just go on to be a pundit. Well, not all of them make a good pundit anyway, but at least they try their best to just dissect and do halftime analysis and all of that, right? So, during Bukola's session, right, she talked about Maradona, right, and how after a while, from football, he took up coaching, but he wasn't exactly successful as a coach, right? But my response to that is, for those who are unable to succeed, right? When they take up career, when they try to, leave the passion in another shape, in another form, right? I think for some of them, right, they really don't have, I don't know how to put this, right? They really don't have passion for, they love so for example, Maradona, right? He loves football, right? But his passion stops, and again, this is my thought, right? His passion stops at playing, right? But to bring people under him and, and coach them and tutor them and, just coordinate them basically. It's a quite, it's different from playing the sport, right? So, and I think that's how he was unable to manage. Look at Steven Gerrard, right? He came to Aston Villa and he did a shitty job at it, right? After recording success in Celtics, right? But playing the sport, right? Your passion again can, it can, for the lack of a better word, right? You can stop at the point, right? I don't know if that makes sense. I don't know if anyone wants to, share or contribute to today's question.
Yes.
And again,
Hi, Vincent.
Okay, sorry, it's not contribution. Just I think I just want to ask for that question based on what Timmy is explaining.
Sorry. Before you go on. Okay. Okay, sorry, please go ahead. I will just say it after.
Okay, so I want to ask that, is it possible for one to have a passion for something and yet you're not good at it? Because I think that, to me, that's just the case of Maradona. Maradona has passion for football. He wants to be a coach, but yet he's not successful in that area. So do you think one can actually have passion for something and yet maybe you are not just good at it, or probably you're not doing it well? So I just was like, is it possible you have passion and yet you're not good at that thing? Is it possible? That's my question. And if anybody can give up.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Do you mind if I take a stab at that?
Yeah, please go ahead, William. Thanks.
Okay, cool stuff. So, yeah, nice question. So, in fact, that I think that was one of that's something that I also wanted to sort of like spotlight, right? For most of us sports guys, basketball, football, that why. It doesn't necessarily mean they would succeed at it. Um, it's just the way it is, right? But it's that passion. Um, right, when you mentioned a passion for so sorry guys, my internet yanked me out. Can I still continue? Is that fine?
Yes,
Yes,
go ahead.
Okay, great. So what I was saying was um so those guys, it was their talent that motivated them to continue to become coaches, right? So for if passion, right, it's not passion does not always take you through some stages. You know, the passion might get you started, might get you going, but to get to a level where, you know, challenges in the career line, say for instance, the only person I can think of now is Michael Owen. Michael Owen had serious injury issues, right? And it ended his career way early, right? I can say the same thing for Torres. I can say the same thing for Fakao. I don't know if, I mean, we can remember how good these players were, you know, when they were in their prime. I can say the same. We can say the same thing for a lot of players, right? But you know, it just you just have to know where to draw the line. You know, if to continue with that thing you have passion for, or just look for other businesses around the sports, right? I think the basketballers actually get this right. They don't necessarily become coaches, but you know, they end up buying stakes at basketball teams. You know, doing some other businesses around that, which still connects them to the sports, basically. So linking that to what we do, I mean, for me, I think is the training. You know, the more you train, the more you find other bits of, you know, the industry that you might just, you know, be interested in and maybe even explore at some point. But overall, passion doesn't get you through some stages. It has to be more, you know, consistency, hard work, and training and all that. Thank you. I've spoken too much.
Yeah, thank you for your contribution. Thank you so much, David, and thank you for the question as well, Vincent and Altunde. So, as a matter of fact, I was actually going to bring that question up much later, right? But you know, my own so I was going to ask the question, right, in an entire different, you know, in a different direction, basically, right? And it's so again, when you look at art, right, you know, music, you know, painting and all of that, I mean, there's only so much passion can do for you in that space, right? Because, you know, if you're not talented, as a musician, right? I mean, there really is there. I mean, there's no amount of passion that you can have that will make you just, that will make you, the best selling artist, right? So because at the end of the day, especially in that kind of space, right? It is important to to have some sort of talent, right? To be able to survive, and just grow in that kind of space. I mean, again, and of course, I mean there are some outliers, right, who have been able to beat that, right? Again, looking at Davido, I mean, if we are being honest, right, the guy, if we are being honest, he's not as talented as he is. He's not as talented as as some other people in the industry, right? So, but I mean, he's so passionate about music that he's so passionate that he has to pay people to write his lyrics for him, right? And I'm sure this is for everybody, right? It's not limited. I know just how is, raising his eyebrows, but again, no, is that passionate about music, right? But again, like I said, there are some outliers, but majorly in art, I don't know how far that you know that can take you, how far passion can take you in art. I don't know if Tommy Sins on the Quran can just shed just light on that, something. I mean, I would love to hear from you guys who play in art, Sukomi, how much passion can take you in drawing and music. Hi, Sukomi or Tomisen. They're on this call. Oh, okay. So maybe we'll just come back to that later, right? All right.
Hello.
So, hi, Sukomi.
Yeah, sorry, I missed the question. Please forgive me. What was the question again? Sorry.
Yeah, so I mean, it's just a continuation from how much passion can do when you really don't have the talent, right? So I was thinking about the art space, right? I mean, how much it's obvious that if you really don't have the talent in for art, right? Only so much, there's only so far, right? Passion can get you, right? So I just wanted to just speak on that, right? If you know any outlier, or anybody who has been able to beat that odds, right? Who has been driven majorly by passion, even though they don't have talent at drawing, or something like that.
Yeah, thank you for that, for the clarification. So I think that this is my opinion, though. I think it's a little bit relative. Whether you have passion for a thing or not, I think we talked about that last week. There's a place of building, whether it is the passion or it is talent. Still going back to last week's conversation, the Ronaldo and the Messi thing. So there is a place where there has to be a foundation. So whether it's a particular percentage of passion or a particular percentage of talent, whichever the case may be, I think there should be one of such. Either you are either talented or you just like something. But the major point there is there has to be a building on it, whether it's something that is natural to you or it's something that you'll have to expand, but there has to be a building on it, be it as a passion or as a talent. It's not just like that. It doesn't just drop on you. I hope that clarifies it.
Yeah, I mean it works. So basically, I mean, there has to be some element of talent, right? That passion can then be applied on, right? So yeah, thank you for that contribution. Thank you for that. Yeah, so going back to the book, right? So yeah, so it the next discussion is on can empower you. So yeah, so I mean there's again, so yeah, basically I mean this I think the study that they did here, I mean, is basically, I mean, it depends on the economic situation really, because if you are telling people to embark on a career, choose a career of their choice, right? For the prospect of making money now, basically choosing money now, and then do what they want to do later, right? I mean, it will have to depend. It's dependent on the location where you are, on your background, right? And I think this situation has been playing out, a lot. And again, I mean, this is just my own observation, right? Because when you look at what when you look at even music and every industry lately, I mean, there really is no passion anymore, right? So what everyone wants to do right now is just to sort of just be comfortable, basically, right? Just make that money, just change your background, right? So I mean, that's just what's in vogue right now. I mean, there really is very little place for passion anymore. People don't really chase what they really want to do, right? But they chase, the next thing that can just bring them that comfortability that can sustain them, right? I mean, um, probably, maybe if you're in US, right, or in UK, right? I mean, it would be easy for you to chase your dream or your passion, right? But I mean, if you are in Nigeria, I mean, or if you are in Afghanistan, I mean, there really is so much that you can do, right, in terms of chasing your passion. Because number one is you are fighting, just to survive, right? And after surviving, right, then you want to be comfortable, right? So once you've scaled those two rings, right, then there's this fear that you are always fighting, right, of not falling back to where you started from, right? So that in itself again can be, of course, it will definitely keep any passion that you have, right? But it's the reality basically, right? And away from all of that, right? And again, when you listen to some of these guys, Ashake and all of that, where they started from, right? They just wanted, I mean, there's the passion, right? But at the end of the day, you find out that their next album, by their third album, they are out. I mean, they are not as relevant, as they used to be, right? So I mean, at that point, they've gotten the sustainability they want, they've gotten the fame, they've gotten the comfort that they have, right? So at the end, they just settle for whatever it is that they can. And again, it also talks about Nema as well. I mean, that guy is 100% talented. I mean, over talent. I mean, he's just over talented, right? But you can't, when you see him play, I mean, it's obvious that the passion is not there. I mean, you look at Ronaldo and then you compare him to Neymar, and I mean, the difference is just. Uh, I mean, if you are dropping comments in the chat, might as well just put voice to it. They have to call names.
So Timley, sorry again.
Okay.
You said musicians, right? And I think that's one I want to pick on, right? After their third album, it just seems like it so is it that their passion died, or I mean, age caught up with them? I don't know.
Yeah, I think at that point, because Elton John, I mean, last year he still did I think he did a tour. Was it last year or a year before? He still did a tour, right? And I mean, Madonna is still doing tour. I mean, Lady Gaga, those guys are still doing tours rather. So, but I think it's just the passion really, or at the end we'll see those who will light your fire and those who will just who will sniff out your fire as well. So I think it's either they don't have the passion, they just wanted to. So music, right, is just one of those get rich quick scheme. Okay, just how your game might be raising his eyebrow, but I mean, music is a surefire way to make quick cash and huge cash within a very short frame, right? So for most of them, right, that's just basically that's their target, and the fame as well, right? And for some, they surrounded themselves with those who just who basically just who don't inspire or motivate them, as they should, right? So they just settle for whatever it is, for comfort, basically. Right? I think that's how I see it, right? So I don't know if anyone wants to, add some contributions to this question, or should we
Yeah,
just?
sorry, just quick one. It's just yeah. So on this, I don't think it's about their passion like dying or something. So it's very hard to stay relevant and consistent. It's one thing to have passion, but consistency needs to follow that passion as well. We watched the video of Kendrick, of Kobe, RIP, and Michael Jordan. I mean, as much as they talked about, oh, passion this, those men were and are being very consistent. Like they deliver out of 5 times, they'll deliver like 4 times, which is very, very hard to do. So aside from the love of something and passion of something, if you're not consistent, your relevance is going to drop and people move on to the next consistent person or relevant person. So that's usually what happens in music, because most people will struggle when getting the game. I mean, to stay there, to stay up top is very, very, very hard. So basically, passion can also take a toll on one. So you just have to try and work harder, and keep working harder and being consistent. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, thank you very much for that contribution. And again, right, it's just about. All right.
Hi, Dylan.
Oh,
Good
hey,
morning.
Anthony.
Yeah, I almost want to say the same thing as I just said. It's all about consistency. When it comes to football, and I want to use Nigerian music as a reference to it. When it comes to football, I think it's more of the consistency, how you're able to deliver and keep working hard to stay on top of your game. And sometimes it do catch up like every other players too. When you get to your probably 35, 36, you won't be able to be that fit like normal player they used to know. But when it comes to music, it's quite different. Based on little knowledge I have with some of these artists sometimes. I think it's all about I want to blow. Some of them don't even know what it takes to have that hit song in the country. When you have that hit song, you have to stay relevant. You have to find a way to get another hit song so that you can stay relevant. And it's always very hard. But once you're able to get one full album and people were able to relate with it, trust me, the next album you want to drop, you still want to buy into another market. Probably you want to now be selling to another audience entirely, and you still want to keep up with your old followers. It will be very hard. That is why they lose it at some point. They won't be able to get that fit anymore. And I think that is always the problem in Nigerian music, whereby your first album, you have your audience, but you still want to buy more audience and you start singing something else. I think that is one of the reasons why Whiskey last album, they said it was flop, and that is why I see it as well, because you are trying to buy into American market, and meanwhile you are losing your fan base in Nigeria. I think that is just the way it is sometimes, right?
Yeah.
I have a few additions to that, if you guys
Okay.
don't mind. So yeah, still on music, right? So when Josiah was talking about the Madonnas and Elton John and all that, I think another factor that we need to consider is the fact that the generation of people that were really in tune with these musicians are much older now, right? And the population compared to the younger generation who actually determines a whole lot for a musician is quite it's a lot, right? So they have, let's say, lesser audience, so to say, even though some young people still do listen to them, right? Case in point, take Celine Dion, for example. I think I don't know if she's still having shows in Vegas. I'm not sure, but I mean, for a long time, even when she was not releasing albums, and it was the richest of the rich people that go for those shows. in as much as I like Celine Dion, I don't think I'm going to gather up my life savings to get a ticket to watch her perform at Vegas, right? So basically, our audience has shrunk. The passion is still there to perform, to make music, but the audience, which actually gives these musicians relevance, it has shrunk, basically. So that also needs to be put into consideration. The passion is still there. They still love what they do. I'm sure in their bathrooms, they still eat those peaches they were eating, when they were all famous and all that. But basically, their audience shrinks. So that's not to the consistency, very, very important part. You have to be consistent, right? So yeah, just thought to add that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Dave, for your contribution, right? And again, especially on the point about you not withdrawing your life savings to see Celine Dion, right? I mean, you have to tell that to Beyonce fans, right, who are actually withdrawing, from their pension savings to go watch her perform, right? But that's that's just on the side, right? So I mean, the time is fast spent, so just and again, thank you everyone for for the contribution, right? And we'll still talk more about consistency and all of that, once as we go along, right? So so we'll be looking at the power of passion, right? Next, so and the first thing is so the book says there really is no substitute for passion when it comes to energizing your talent. So so take a look. So take a look at what passion can do for you, right? So the first is passion. Passion is the first step to achievement, right? And the keyword that I want to highlight here, and again from the video that we watched, right? I mean, there was the three athletes, right? The two athletes and the greatest rapper alive, right? So they mentioned one word, right? I mean, they had a central theme, right? And that is love, right? So they love what all the sports that all they had that that they were doing, right? So or they are doing rather. So they enjoyed it, they loved it so much, right? I mean, that's basically the anchor for Kobe Bryant, right? And also for Michael Jordan as well, right? So love, it plays a lot in passion, right? So and it's what we also open the doors for achievement for you, right? And again, I mean, we've looked at the point where you love what you are doing, but even though you don't have talent for it, right? I mean, we've had discussion on that, and the idea or the suggestion is you necessarily don't have to participate in that thing. So maybe you love basketball or you don't have talent for it. You can simply act, in a managerial capacity, right? So but as long as you love, what it is that you are doing, right? I mean, that's the first step to achievement, right? You can then, so once you love it, you can then look for ways that you can play in that space, or how basically you can just keep chasing that passion, right? And when I read this part, right, about the story of Socrates, or I don't know if that's the philosopher, basically, right, I tagged the baptism of knowledge, right? So because 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 the only way you can achieve anything of significance is to really, really want it, right? So I mean, you can't just idly or lazily want something. I mean, and again, it brings Neymar to mind, right? I mean, he's talented, right? But I don't really think he wants that smoke of of being the best. I mean, look at Messi and Ronaldo, and again, it talks about consistency, right? And consistency again does not mean you won't have some off days, right? But it's just coming back and still playing as you should, and at the best, at your best self, right? So yeah, that's basically how passion is first step to achievement, right? And also passion increases willpower, right? So yeah, I mean, we've seen how how passion work within you, right? How it sort of drives you. And I mean, when there is no passion, for what you do, there really is no energy. You are simply unable to just contribute at or perform at your best, at your best capacity, right? So I mean, it's just it will literally drain you, right? So because as this guy as was said in the book, right? There really is no passion, right? So as well, and as a result, there's no willpower, right? So yeah, that's basically how passion increases willpower, right? And yeah, on how passion produces energy, right? um I mean, it just makes sense, right? So because when you love something and when you are around, when you are around it, I mean, you ordinarily can't get tired of it because you consistently want to be around it, right? And when you're around something, you then find a way to make it better, right? To become better at it, right? So that's basically what passion will do for you, right? It will basically drive you. And I mean, we all hear how Cristiano Ronaldo is always, one of the first on the for practice, and is always the last, right? I mean, I read one article about Nori's time at Juventus, right, where one of his co-players, right. So when they were done training, right, then he called the guy to, so I mean, they were in the dressing room, preparing to leave the stadium, and go back home or whatever it is they wanted to, right? And Ronaldo was calling this guy to just stay back with him to, for them to try out, just basically continue practicing, right? I mean, and that's just basically the passion he has, he has for football, right? I mean, we saw how he was crying, after losing the World Cup. I mean, I understand, I understand at that point because I mean, in my mind, I was saying that people should probably just get in a bucket so you can cry as much as you want because he has his passion for football runs that deep, right? So, and I'm not sure that you make for a good coach, to be sincere. Again, this is just my opinion, right? But I think for him, passion will just the passion for football we stop at football, right? At playing football, basically, right? So like I said, passion, it produces that energy. And I also like to talk about, for Kobe Bryant, right? There was a game where he got injured, right? I mean, that kind of injury, normally, right, when you get injured at that point, I mean, ordinarily, for at least for a normal human being, you're supposed to not stand on that leg, right? You're supposed to just, I mean, you can't even stand on it, right? The injury is that serious, right? But Kobe Bryant, I mean, that didn't stop him, right? Because on his way to to making a bucket, right, he got fouled, right? So when he got fouled, the ref blew for a penalty, a free throw, right? But free throw in basketball is something close to penalty in football, right? So ordinarily, he shouldn't be able to stand and be able to make the free throws, right? But because the passion was there, right? I mean, he had to stand on that leg because ordinarily, like I said, ordinary human being will just go back and sit down and just retire. But this guy, he had to take those free throws himself, right? And of course, he made the two free throws, right? And once it was done, he then went into the dressing room immediately. I mean, it's that that's kind of energy that passion we instill in you, right? And again, I mean, I'm sure we all heard of how Michael Jordan played, through with a fever, right? For a very crucial match, right? A game four of a playoff competition, right? I mean, when playoff, right, it's not a regular match, right? So, but this guy he had fever, and then he still swallowed that to just show up, right? And of course, he performed, as expected, right? So that's basically what passion will do for you, right? That's how passion will drive, and it will instill it will increase or fire that energy in you, right? So yeah, that's what passion, how passion can basically shoot up your energy, right? And also we have passion is the foundation for excellence, right? And yeah, I mean again, yeah, which takes me back to the conversation about artists and them just basically fizzling out, right? And it's just basically, and again, I'm not being authoritative about this, right? It's just my own opinion and how I've been doing things, right? Basically, when you have passion for something, I mean, you always want to perform at your at the excellent level, right? I mean, we heard Kendrick Lamar talked about, it's not about just writing one outstanding hook or bridge or verse, right? Is to do it repeatedly, right? Is to do it over and over again. I mean, I watched one Kobe documentary, right? When one of his when because at the time the narrative was that one of his teammate at the time, Shaquille O'Neal, right, he was responsible for his success, right? So when he left Lakers, when Shaq O'Neal left Lakers, right, people started questioning, people started questioning the legacy of Kobe Bryant. They were starting to question his career at that point, right, and his ability to perform again to win another championship, right, and that was what drove Kobe at that point, right? And he went on to win, championship, right, without Shaquille O'Neal. And as a matter of fact, he went on to win the championship with basically what you call average players, right? So again, that's what passion will do for you, right? Um, and again, I don't want to go get into the story of Michael Jordan, and I mean, it was the battle at the time was just crazy, right? It was at the height, right? But again, when you now look at the current crop of players, basketball players and footballers, right? The passion really is just missing, right? I mean, when you look at basketball these days, they really have lost, the fundamentals that is necessary for playing basketball. And again, this also applies for football as well. I mean, after the match, I mean, I can remember at the time during any derby match, Manchester City against Manchester United. I mean, the crowd they are teaming for the performance that they're about to watch. I mean, they are riled up basically, right? But these days, I mean, you look at the footballers themselves. I mean, before they get on the pitch, right? They've conceded basically, and then at the end of the match, you see them hugging and checking each other as if there really is no rivalry between them. So I mean, these were the things that back then, they motivated. I mean, it's just a joy to see the passion on their faces, right? After I mean, when they lose the match, you see them just run to the dressing room. These days, any player that does not wave to the fans after a loss, right? They get penalized for it, right? I mean, those things are very crazy. So of course, it's not to take it to the extreme, right? But um, so my point basically is, there really is no that drive, right, to perform, at the excellent level is starting to fizzle out basically, right? And yeah, I mean, and basically, I don't think the passion is at the level that that we've seen it before now, right? So I don't know if anyone has anything to add. Oh, time is almost out. Yeah, so I'll just basically just run through this so we can look through the chapters, right? So yeah, then passion is the key to success. I mean, we've basically seen again, the three people that I played, yeah, right. I mean, they had success, right? And for Ruben Martinez, right? The point is currently at, or I mean, the point is currently at, right? I mean, he will consider himself, a success, right? I mean, he won awards basically out of passion for reading, right? So that basically constitutes as a success, right? And he was able to, he went on to establish a bookstore, not just one, I mean, several bookstores, right? Basically. So ordinarily, that constitutes as a success for him. And when he talked about working for the rest of his life, right? Purely out of passion, right? I mean, that again is what I would ordinarily call a success, because when you when you say things like that, when you talk about work like that, I mean, it can only come from a place of, of happiness, of fulfillment, basically, right? So that's also how, our passion is also key to success, right? And the last one is passion makes a person contagious, right? Yeah, I mean, this is obvious, right? What got me into basketball was just watching LeBron James play basketball, right? I mean, it was that simple for me, right? And again, it's the same for, I'm sure it's the same for everyone, in the room, right? When you've seen someone, well, time is up. Right? And also, when you listen to Apostle Selman, I mean, when you listen to him dissect scriptures, right, you can almost tell that he has passion for gospel, right? So, and it ordinarily makes him very you just want to listen to him. You want to listen to him talk about gospel and how he dissects scriptures and all of that, right? So yeah, passion really makes someone contagious, right? And as you can see about Winston Churchill as well, right? I mean, when you look at that man's quotes, I mean, even as far back as 1930s, some of them are still relevant today, right? So the way, I mean, I watched him in one series like that, The Crown, right? I was able to, just gather at the time, right? And gather the masses. And I think yeah, basically wrestled against the Nazis at the time, right? So I'm sorry for rushing. Just want to quickly go through this. So yeah, basically, passion makes a person contagious, right? Um, so then he suggested, some ways that we can basically, share our passion, make sure to ensure that it doesn't die, right? So, and he highlighted just 3 steps, right, which is to prioritize your life according to your passion, right? And also to protect your passion. And last but not least, pursue your passion with everything you've got. So I was going to ask whether we know any well, I mean, there's no word for this, right? But someone who is passionate for multiple, multiple field, right? But I mean, I guess that's a question for another day, right? So this brings me to the end of my, well, yeah, and yeah, basically to the end. Thank you very much for the contribution. Yeah, I'll rest my, okay, I'll drop the mic here. Over to you, Samuel.
Thank you so much, Timile. Quite an amazing session, to be honest. Thank you everyone for joining the session. Please don't forget that today is Friday. It means there's Feel Good Friday, right? So let's all join, please. Thank you so much again for joining the session. Have a great day ahead. Goodbye.
Recording stopped.